guys, so this is our last part of our Anglo-Saxon presentation. And again, if you are an online student for Wednesday and Thursday, or you're a core student, you should be watching this. If you are a hybrid student and you are in person on Wednesday and Thursday, you should not be watching this because we'll go over it in class. So we left off before talking about the typical day of or the typical day in the life of an Anglo-Saxon. And right now we're going to talk a little bit more about their religion, because although Christianity was a uniting factor during this time period, the old religions, especially during the Celtic period, still persisted. So they still had multiple gods, such as Thor and Odin, and they still believed in a lot of these medieval type qualities, such as dragon protectors of treasures, and then, of course, the earthly values of bravery, loyalty, generosity, and friendship. This really ties into the chivalry aspect of knighthood, and so this is where we're going to get a lot of our ideas that flow into Beowulf, especially. So another important thing to talk about is bards. They were also known as Scops during the time, but they were the storytellers of the Anglo-Saxon period. So they told stories of the heroes and heroines of the Anglo-Saxon times and of medieval times. They were held in very high regard, almost seen on the level of warriors, because they were wise and had this knowledge of the great adventures of different knights and different heroes throughout their time. Creating poetry at this time was also just as important as fighting, hunting, and farming, because creating the poetry was a way to be able to tell the stories of these heroes and be able to continue their legacy on for not just that time period, but for hundreds of years after that. Consider Beowulf. We're still talking about Beowulf and the foundation that it created for literature, and the effect that it had for years to come on the heroes and heroines of different stories, and the foundation of knighthood, and what it means to really be a hero. Another thing to bring up is the Christian monasteries. They were really the epicenter and the strongholds of Christianity, but they were also a center of learning. This is where a lot of education and learning took place at the time, and where they were actually able to write down poetry and write down stories, because they were able to write in the vernacular at the time. Now, King Alfred also proposed that they create a history book of England, which was really crucial to preserving a lot of the historical events that happened during this time of England, but also a lot of the literary movements and the literary time periods that happened throughout this time. And this is also one of the big events that created English into what it is today, and made English a respected language, and tied English to England's culture and to the Anglo-Saxon culture. So the Christian monasteries are really important to consider for the impact that they had on the English language, and then also for the impact that they had on learning and education in general. These are the different literary terms that you have on your vocabulary activity. So make sure you're choosing 7 of these words to define and then turn in that vocabulary assignment on Canvas. But that's all for this presentation. Like I said, I was trying to keep it short and break it down into different chunks so that you guys have a good amount of time to go through all of the material and still be able to work on your assignments for this class and your assignments for other classes as well. So make sure you're turning in your vocabulary assignment, and also make sure you're answering the discussion question that was posed in the first presentation. But otherwise, that's it for the Anglo-Saxon presentation. Thank you guys for paying attention.